Please, I can't sleep.
It's time to listen to Courtney at last on the Ramblings of an Insomniac podcast.
Well, howdy, strangers. Hello. Welcome to episode 48 of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney Perry. It's been, since the 5th, apparently. So I'm a big fat loser. I guess that's what it boils down to. I'm a big loser. I don't even know what today is, if I'm being honest. Okay, today's the 26th, so it's been 21 days. And in my life, I'm like a cat. For every 1 year, it's like you add 7, or maybe that's a dog. A dog, you add 7. I'm kind of the same way, except it's for every day you add like 7 days. For a dog, you add 7 years. For me, you add 7 days to every 1 day. So it's been a while, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do a lot of apologizing on my podcasts. I do a lot of apologizing and babbling, and there are a lot of interruptions. It's terrible, horrible sound quality. It's really just kind of a shitty podcast. I don't know why anybody's listening. I mean, goodness, you guys are freaking rock stars. I honestly think you guys are rock stars, or you're sadists, or is it masochists? I never remember if it's a sadist or a masochist. One likes to receive pain, one likes to give it. I know that. I don't remember which one is which. But at any rate, you guys are either sadists or loyal, super loyal, or bored. Maybe you're bored. Maybe it really does help you fall asleep, so you're using it as a tool. Or maybe I am somehow entertaining, and I hope it's the latter. I hope I'm entertaining, and I hope that you spread the word, because I need to get on the stick and get more listeners by doing things like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, all of which I had, and Twitter. I actually have all of the above. The problem is this. All of them censor. They censor like a mofo. So anytime I put anything that's even, I'm not even going to say political, because there have been many things I've put on Facebook that weren't political at all, and they got taken down, and they had facts and everything. It's from a government. I posted something one time about COVID from a government website, from the Oregon government website. And it was hilarious because Facebook said that it was basically false. And I was like, so you're admitting that the government's full of shit? I agree. At any rate, I get censored on TikTok. I've been censored 4 times now, and then threatened to have my account taken down if I didn't post things that they feel were misinformation. And that was like fake news. And then of course, now that Elon, I have not turned on a TV in a very long time, and I have not been looking at the news. I haven't been online. Well, I've been online. Technically, I've been online. However, it's been things like looking up dog training videos, looking up the weather, stuff like that. But I haven't been keeping up with the current news, to be honest. I've kind of been like an ostrich and just burying my head, because I find that I'm either getting so fired up that I just am negative and pissed off all the time, or sad and depressed all the time. Or I want to be involved and I want to be an activist, but then I get bummed because I'm not even sure how to start. And then if I'm being incredibly truthful, right this particular moment in my life, I have so much that I'm dealing with that I don't have a free moment to be an activist. So then I feel like a dick because I'm bitching about things that I'm not currently trying to change. So then I feel like I'm a hypocrite, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to complain about things that I'm not going to try to change. I do vote. I do try to like get information out. I try to get accurate information out. I'm aware that it is biased, so I guess I can't say that it's unbiased. It's definitely biased. In a way, I mean, I do make note that I feel everybody should look at things from all points of view. People should look at things from all perspectives, all angles, not just go by me, certainly, never go by what I say. But I'm not an activist in the sense that, for example, I watched this documentary that I hate even talking about because it just puts me in a bad place, but it's called Blackfish. It's on Netflix, and it's about SeaWorld, and that they literally take orca whales from captive out from being free out in the wild, and then they trap them, they capture them, and they put them as part of the show in SeaWorld. And at any rate, if you watch this documentary, it'll just break your heart, and it infuriates me. I've never ever liked SeaWorld, even prior to seeing this documentary, which I watched this documentary about 10 years ago, I would say 9 years ago, because it's before I moved where I am now. So I don't know, probably 9 years ago. I've never liked SeaWorld. I've always been against it. But now I'm even more. So if you haven't watched it, do so. However, if you're anything like me and you can't handle, it's pretty harsh. It's fucked me up for a really long time. It's still to this day, 9 years later, I'm pretty fucked up because of it. It's pretty not graphic. It just will break your heart to the point of you will want to bomb SeaWorld. And so that's my point, is that I watched this and I got all fired up and I wanted to do something. I wanted to change the world. I wanted to make sure that SeaWorld was taken down, and that places like SeaWorld, any place that's not just SeaWorld, but any place like SeaWorld, gets shut down. But I didn't have the foggiest idea where to start, because to me, protesting doesn't do anything. I'm sorry. I don't feel it does anything, especially if you're protesting. Someone said this to me before, and it does make sense. If you're protesting, let's say about, you want organic food, you want all organic food, and you don't like how cows are treated in slaughterhouses, or you don't like how chickens are treated in slaughterhouses. So let's say you're protesting about that, though, in Portland, Oregon. Well, that's kind of silly, because let's be honest, most of Portland is going to agree with that already. I would say a good 90% of Portland, Oregon would already agree with your point of view. So it's really doing no good to protest in a place that's already on board with your line of thinking. So you'd have to go to some place that's against, your line of thinking. So I can't go to California and go to SeaWorld and protest, because I could stand in front of them and try to get people not to go inside. I could try to sway people and give people information, maybe have them watch the documentary and stuff. And so that's what I thought I would do. And then, quick side note, one time I was in Santorini, Greece, and my friend and I were in Ia. And to get to Ia, when you start from a boat like we did, and you start out in the sea, we pulled up. And so you're at the bottom of, let me just say, incredibly, extraordinarily, very steep and long flights of stairs. I'm just guessing. I would say, though, there's a good 2,000 stairs for real. And it's all uphill, of course. And there are these donkeys that are, I found out later, that are out there for like 12 hours a day in the hot sun, just sitting there for 12 hours in the hot sun, no shade. And their job is to haul people's fat asses up those steps, those steep steps, after they've been sitting out there all damn day. And I found out how the donkeys were treated, and there's this program to try to get donkeys free from Santorini and taken back to places that they'll be treated better. For the record, I love Santorini, Greece. Not talking smack about Santorini, not trying to get anything political with that. And I'm just saying that when I found out how they were treated and seeing it with my own eyes, being there, watching them, they're there all day, I was like, I get that all animals need exercise and all animals have a purpose and that a lot of animals like to do things and it's not as hard for a donkey maybe as it is for us and they're pack mules and they're meant to pack things and blah, blah, blah. I get that. But there are some people that I feel are extraordinarily overweight and there is a weight limit and they will let people get on the donkeys that are overweight and go up these steep stairs and they will not put these donkeys in shade. And they have them on their feet for doing this, all day long. And again, they're pack mules. They need exercise. This is what they're for. I get it. But they still need shade once in a while. They still need access to take a break and all that, not just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like they need breaks. And there needs to be a weight limit. And so I wanted to protest that. And I wanted to do something about it. And I wanted to do something about the fact that I found out that they poison dogs that are running around. And if there is a dog running around or if there's a dog that has a collar that maybe just got loose, there are people that will just poison the dogs. And this infuriated me. And I saw a dog once that was strapped to, chained to this makeshift doghouse. And I had been there for 10 days. And I watched this dog have a very, very, very short chain. It could get out of the elements, but it was a very, very short chain. No one came out to check on him. It was very hot. I looked, I never saw water. I had to keep bringing him water. I checked every day to see if there's water or food. I didn't see either. And so I'm not going to lie, I ended up letting this dog loose, but I also didn't want the dog to get hurt and I didn't want the dog to get poisoned. So I didn't know what was the lesser of two evils. A slow death chained to this makeshift doghouse and starving to death, literally starving to death because they hadn't brought any food, or being dehydrated and dying from being dehydrated, or both, or in the hot sun. I didn't know. So my point to all this, see, I digress. This is why nobody listens to me. I do this shit. I digress. My point is, do you watch TV? Do you watch the news? Do you listen to the news? Do you pay attention to current affairs? Or do you bury your head in the sand? Are you an activist? Do you do things and get involved? Because when I watched Blackfish, I wanted to go out and I wanted to do something to SeaWorld. And I wanted to not do something to SeaWorld. I wanted to get the information out about SeaWorld and how I don't feel they should be allowed to be in business. And I wanted to get the information out about the donkeys in Greece. There is an organization which I should have looked up before I did this podcast so that I could talk about it. So I will do that in a later podcast and get the information out. But as of now, I know there was an organization that was helping donkeys find homes. But again, I'm not talking smack about Greece or Santorini. I love it. You should visit. It's amazing. I didn't want to leave. I'm aware that in different areas of the world, people treat animals differently. And I think that Americans are ridiculously over the top, mushy and crazy when it comes to animals. However, I'm one of those people. I don't dress up my animals, but I don't have anything against it. I'm all about treating animals well. I do think, however, that you should train your dogs. I do dog training. I'm a dog trainer. I cannot stand, and I work at a kennel and grooming facility, so I cannot stand dogs that are unruly for a million reasons. For the dog's own health, for the dog's own benefit, you should have a dog that's trained. Trust me, like a child, it's just as good for children as it is for animals to make sure there's discipline. People look at discipline as this terrible, horrible thing. I do not think you should abuse anyone or any animal. I do not think that you should bully or abuse anything. But I do 100% believe in accountability. I believe in consequences for your actions. I believe in follow through. I believe in discipline. I believe in working hard. I believe that if you work hard and you aren't lazy, you have a better mental health. I believe it makes you live longer and stronger. I also believe that you should play hard. I think that if you work hard, you deserve to play hard. I think you should indulge. We have one life and one life only. And I don't think that we should, this whole subscribing, when I retire, I'll do this. When I retire, we'll do that. Well, that's silly. I don't want to wait until I'm not able to enjoy it. I think that you should travel as soon as possible. I think you should enjoy things, whatever it is you want to do. I don't think you should wait because you don't know if they'll be tomorrow. You don't know if you'll live to be retirement age. You don't know if you'll be in good enough health to do the things you want to do. So I think that if you are, where was I going with that? Oh, like the whole protesting thing and all of that. I think that you should follow through. I think that you should do something about it. And I think, and then I segued into discipline. That's what it was. Again, this is what I do. So on that note, on the whole dog training note and discipline and consequences and accountability, there doesn't seem to be a lot of accountability going on. Not with anything. It seems that celebrities can do or say what they want. But if, God forbid, somebody says anything different, then it just seems like, for a long time I've said this, it seems like being a celebrity in Hollywood is absolutely 100% like a high school clique. And it's also very gross. It seems like it's a lot, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, a lot of politics, a lot of sex involved. It seems like there's a lot of promises and shadiness going on. Hollywood seems exactly like politics and high school. They're all kind of one. Politics and being a celebrity. I'm not saying all celebrities. I am sure that there are, I know, not I'm sure, I know for 100% fact, because that would be just statistically, there are celebrities out there that are not involved in all of those games. It seems like Julia Roberts does a good job at staying out of all of that crap. It seems like there are celebrities out there. I forget her name, but I love her. She was on Everybody Loves Raymond, and she was on The Middle. She has red hair. Love her. There's a lot of celebrities, though, that seem to kind of stay out of that crap. So you choose to be involved. You choose to make a spectacle of yourself, and you do it all for PR. You do it all so that you're not forgotten. It's all a chess game. And it's sad. And speaking of chess game, been watching that prequel to Game of Thrones. It's House of Dragons. I have one, shamelessly, I have to say, I've been binge watched it and I only have one episode left. But talk about a chess game. Man, back in the day, savages. I mean, talk about oppression. Women were oppressed. They were just born to have sex, poop out a bunch of babies so that the throne doesn't, so that the throne always stays in your family. And you're not allowed to do anything pretty much except for serve men. And we talk about oppression now. Give me a break. And just savages in general. God, back in the day, they had to put up with a lot of stuff. And the stuff they saw on a daily basis, whether you were part of the royal business or considered common folk, the crap that you saw on a daily basis, savage. I mean, seeing people die was just like absolutely nothing. Just nothing, just another day. I mean, disease. I always watch these shows and I'm like, oh my God, I always think of how bad they must have smelled back then. I can't help it. I'm like, the amount of how terrible the stench of their bodies were back then. and like their teeth and their breath and just how bad they smelled, and like the cities themselves and just how gross their food must have tasted. I mean, technically, maybe it was really good because it was organic, no preservatives, spices from the earth. So maybe it was really good, but I just think of it, there's no refrigeration or anything like that. There's no ice. So I just think everything's warm and like drinking stuff back then, I can't help it. And then like the amount of disease, sexually transmitted disease back then, and just that's all I think of. The science part of me comes out, and then I'm like, oh my God, they must have smelled so bad. But at the same time, talk about badasses. And like how young they were when they were having sex, because they were going to die young. So they had to start young because they knew they were going to die young. They didn't have a long lifespan. So crazy. And the amount of incest, man. So I think people, obviously we have come a long way. We have come a long way. I mean, there's still incest going on, but there's still some stuff going on. But you want to talk oppression, man, lot of crap going on back then. We have, for people to act like we haven't changed or like the world hasn't gotten any better. I mean, you learn from your mistakes, you move on, you move forward. And Morgan Freeman, I remember, said that you promote racism by continuing to talk about it. The more you talk about it, the more that racism happens. And people like to think that racism only is pertaining to a white person being racist toward a black person. It's like African American or black people think that they coined or that they get to monopolize racism. And racism means when you are prejudiced toward a race, a particular race, Native American, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, Caucasian, black. If I didn't mention your race, I'm sorry, but all races. If you are prejudiced toward a particular race, then you are racist. But for some reason, it is now okay to go back in time and say, because of the past and things that happened in the past, two wrongs now make a right, and we are now going to be racist toward a particular group or hateful toward a particular group, and we are going to segregate again. We're going back to segregation. It's just crazy. Like you're trying to say that you don't want these things to happen as you're going back in time to where segregation was a thing, to where racism was a thing, to where oppression was a thing. And that's now what we're getting back to. And it's insane. And then I watch House of Dragons and I think, man, think of the shit they went through back then. Talk about being grateful and appreciative of life. Talk about like not complaining about stuff. I mean, in any given day, they could have their entire family just freaking slaughtered. It's crazy. Sorry. Oh, I needed something to drink. So yeah, these are the things that have been on my mind. In addition to a huge amount of stress that I won't get into right now. I've had stress times 1 million. That's why it's been 3 weeks since I have done a podcast. I have had so much on my mind that I've been doing a couple of things, crying a lot to the point that my eyes were all swollen and red and permanently swollen and looked ridiculous. And then I got over that and I started getting angry and I went and punched a punching bag for a while and threw some stuff and, slammed some doors and things, and then, which is not mature or great at all. So I don't suggest that. Although punching a punching bag, I highly suggest. If you have one, punch the shit out of it. It'll get you in shape and it'll get you exercise. Exercise produces endorphins. I feel like Legally Blonde. exercise produces endorphins, and happy people just aren't murderers. They don't kill people. Anyway, and also it just feels good to punch something and get that anger out, get that stress out, get that relief. Punching something just feels good. And since it's illegal to punch others and probably not mature to punch others, and you don't want to damage your own property, if you have a punching bag, get on it. I suggest it. So I did that, and then I laughed for a while, and then I watched funny and cute animal videos, and then some dog training videos. Plus, I've been working, of course. I have not just been sitting around. I work. I have a full-time job. I do work. I work a lot. Been working on my property, so I took my aggressions out on cleaning and organizing my property in my house, and yeah. So it's been a while. I will try not to do that again. You know that I kind of do this. It's sort of a cycle. I do a bunch of podcasts, and then I take a break, and then I do one or two, and then I take a break, and then I do like 20, and then I take a break. And so here I am with another one. But thank you so very much. Thank you so much to infinity and beyond. To infinity and beyond, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being loyal. Thank you for listening. If you want to tell people to check out a podcast that may or may not be on every week, may or may not have good sound quality, and I may or may not babble. But at any rate, it's worth checking out, right? Like I said, you can put it on while you are on your way to work, while you're cleaning, if you want to go to sleep. I don't know. But at any rate, it's been a minute. I apologize. Thank you for tuning in again. And I will be back tomorrow. I have a lot of things on my plate, but I have a lot of things to talk about because of it. I just didn't really want to get into it on this podcast, but I kind of wanted to share with some people some stuff that's been going on, because I know that there's got to be people out there that can identify. I know that if I can help even one person out, then I want to talk about it. It's something I've been wanting to talk about, but haven't been wanting to at the same time. I've been kind of leery. Wasn't sure if I should, still not sure if I should talk about it, but it's a pretty big thing in my life, and it would explain why I have these moments of not doing my podcast, why I go 3 weeks without doing a podcast. It would explain a lot. Maybe people would be a little more tolerant, but I also don't want to make excuses. So then I'm like, I don't want to make excuses, and I don't want to be one of those people that doesn't follow through, but also makes excuses as to why I don't. So I've been kind of going back and forth. So, and plus it's a big deal to share, and I don't know if I'm quite, there yet. So at any rate, at some point, I will probably talk about it. But for right now, I just appreciate your patience. I appreciate your loyalty. I appreciate you. And I am genuinely wishing anybody that's going through some shit right now, like I said, punch a punching bag. Go out and go for a walk. Go on a drive. Listen to some music. Clean and organize. Go exercise your dog. Play with your dog. Go scream. Go do what you got to do, as long as it's not illegal. Don't do any illegal things. But I'm sorry. I hope it gets better. Sometimes life just really blows. It just blows like Monica Lewinsky, and you just have to get through it and go through the motions. So at any rate, I am Courtney Perry. Thank you for tuning in to episode 48 of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. Have a good night.